That's really cool. Well, I'm curious now on the implementation. How does this work? Where does the provider push the MR CT scans, and how are they uploaded? And I mean, you talked about everything's kind of in the cloud. How do what kind of dashboards are they using? I mean, you gave a couple different examples, and it could be a variety of different cockpits, but how do they actually access it? Are they just going to a website? And I mean, can you take me through the implementation process and how much, I know I'm throwing onboarding with questions, and how much handholding goes into this as well?
Sure. So, so to start off is we really pride ourselves on a completely serverless infrastructure, where in a way we do deployments now where there's no virtual machines at all on site. It's completely serverless, and all we really need is a internet connection out to our kind of private cloud, right? So, and that we can do through VPN or through kind of HTTPS connections and so on. But at the end of the day, the images are routed from either the modalities or from PACS or DICOM routed through existing DICOM routers to our what we refer to as our edge service. It's kind of a piece of software that essentially is a DICOM router that routes the images to the right place. So that this edge service can be in our cloud, it can be on-prem if they want it, and it also allows for de-identification of the images so that no PHI is sent to the cloud at all. And from there, once the images arrive up into the cloud, they're triaged to the right machine learning algorithms and processing servers. And then depending on the workflow, either automatic results are pushed back into the hospital or pushed into our viewer. So it kind of depends on the workflow. Some workflows, there is no viewer, which just sends results automatically to dictation. Other workflows for lung or cardiac, as I showed you, there's actually a viewer there. And then, so that's kind of how the images are kind of pre-routed. And then from there, physicians log in from wherever they are. It kind of depends on the cockpit, but let's say for cardiac MR, that they'll launch it from their native work list. So we do URL launching, where it launches in context with that patient from the EMR-driven workflow or the risk-driven workflow or PACS-driven workflow. And then from there, they interact and visualize the results, and then with a single click, the results are pushed back into dictation or the EMR. So it's kind of a very low footprint way just to have immense functionality and essentially like infinite compute to process these images and to send the results in a very timely fashion back to where they need to be. And we really pride ourselves on the turnaround time, of how long it takes to send the data out, process, and send the data back. And we can do that in the order of just a few seconds with X-ray. With CT, it can be done in a couple minutes or less. With large MRs, it can be done in like 5-10 minutes. It depends on the bandwidth a little bit, or the constraint there. But overall, it's a very efficient way to get the right data to the right place with quick turnaround times. So that's kind of how it works behind the scenes.
Awesome. Why, it seems also in one sense a competitive advantage to have such a simple implementation. Yeah. And this is, especially when it comes to images and managing this, it sometimes can be just an absolute mess.
I mean, I'll give you one example. I won't name the health system, but there's one PACS company. I won't name the PACS company. It's a very modern PACS company. And if you were to guess how many people hours it took them to upgrade from version 22 to version 22.1, so a minor release. If you were to guess the number of people hours involved just to upgrade their PACS workstations with the newest software, how many hours do you think it took?
I don't know.
It's thousands of hours.
Oh my God.
So can you imagine taking thousands of hours? We're taking literally 0 hours because we do it for you. Like we handle all the upgrades centrally. And for a hospital, just to refresh the browser and get the latest software with 0 hours of work, it's pretty attractive.
Wow. Yeah. And especially with having one central location for accessing multiple different tools,